Hi, everyone.
Hey, Janet and Doug here.
Go ahead and make the adjustment.
Yeah.
And guess what? We're in the truck again. We tried new RV park.
I'm gonna fix this.
All right.
We're good.
We tried a new location, and the signal just isn't there. So we look like people that live in a truck.
You think we live in an Airstream, but
we say we do, but
we
every
really
time we
live
come,
in a truck.
we're in a truck in a parking lot somewhere. So this is a parking lot where we.
Hey, Dennis.
Hi, Dennis. Where we get good service. So as long as we're in South Texas, this is where we're going to be doing this. So anyway, tonight, where are we going with this?
Yes, this is titled Good Morning, Helping Your Family Have One on a School Day, because this has been a highly requested topic for us, because school has either started recently for your family or it's about to, and the lazy days of summer, if you've gotten the opportunity to have some of those, are over. And so we're addressing this hot topic of what do we do to have a peaceful morning instead of a chaotic morning.
Yeah, the clock has also hopefully had for you a lazy day of summer time as well, but that's coming to an end. And so how can you transition into this school year in a way that you haven't in the past?
Right.
And it be a peaceful transition.
And if you join this Facebook Live later, here's some new news. We started a Janet Newberry YouTube channel, and so the Facebook Live videos about our other topics, this one will get moved there too. So probably tomorrow you can find this on YouTube as well as on my timeline on Facebook. Right. So you can share it that way with your friends as well.
Okay, good.
So the first thing we want to talk about in the mornings is this picture that we've shown you before on Facebook Live, and this idea that as parents, we're trying to move our children from where they are in their immaturity, and they're children. We want them to grow up and be adults. We want them to move from here, a place of immaturity, to a place of maturity. And we can use this card today too, because reality happens on a school morning, and all of a sudden we're not trying to think about what are they going to be when they grow up, but this could be like when they wake up in the morning, when the alarm first goes off, when they're in bed. And this is a picture of the car, right? Yeah. How do we move them from the bed to the car? What are we going to do with that? Because this is maybe 30 minutes or an hour
all
in the morning.
All of a sudden it becomes time bound.
Yeah. And so moving them from where they are to where they need to be becomes something we have to do quickly. And how we move them in the mornings will determine whether they grow up or they just get older. Yeah. Because that's our two choices as we're raising our children, and as we're engaging in relationship with each other, is are they just getting older, or are they really growing up? Are they maturing? And so we have a couple of options to move them from the bed to the car, right? Or from the bed to the bus stop on a school morning, right?
Yeah.
We could shame them. We could yell at them. Right?
Those don't work very well, because all of a sudden you send them out the door and off to school either with an empty tank or the wrong kind of fuel.
Right.
And so their day has already started off in a negative, and none of their real needs that they woke up with that morning have been met.
Right.
And so they're left to their own and without the fuel, to go out into the world and face the onslaught of what's coming.
We almost can send them out. We know the importance of a nutritious breakfast, but we're going to encourage a different thought in this conversation, that we need nutritious relationships too, because love is a process of meeting needs, and we wake up with real needs.
What are some of those?
We wake up with a need to belong. we wake up with the need to feel accepted.
Significance.
Yes. We wake up with the need for affirmation, for connection, for commitment.
To be a part of something bigger than ourselves.
Yes, those are all our real needs. And so our children need to go to school with those real needs met. And so one way that we can move them from the bed to the bus stop, or from the bed to the car, is with a behavior modification chart. And we've all seen them and we've used them, right? Those don't meet their real needs. And here's the problem long term. Their real needs are not getting met, so they'll get older, but they won't mature. And then we're teaching them to use manipulation in their own relationships, right? And here's what happened to me when I was little. I would wake up, I shared a room with my sister, and she was just a tiny bit, not even a year older than me, and she would wake up before me, and her bed was made already before I even put my feet on the floor. And so I was mad before I even got out of bed because I felt behind. It was a whole sibling rivalry thing before I even got my head off the pillow. And that happens too when we set our children up with these reward charts and in a culture where it's just about being good. Right? And so there is another option, right?
Go ahead.
And we can think about what are the relationships like in our home, and what is our impact and influence on each other? Because we can either have a home with a culture of chaos and personal agenda and disconnection, or we can have a home with a culture that cares for one another, that is concerned about what can I do that's caring for my family. What do I know how to do in my family that's helpful and I can be depended on and be trustworthy? I can get out of bed by myself. I can get dressed by myself. I can brush my teeth by myself. What can I do by myself, and what can I do to help someone else this morning? And on the things that I hate to do, and I'm still immature and I'm still struggling, and I hate to put on my shoes by myself, or I always hit the snooze button on my alarm clock too many times. Who in my family will I help? Will I let help me? So we're suggesting that we build a different culture in our house.
And this culture comes from
the top.
Parents, yeah.
Right.
Just like in an organization, a corporation or something like that, all of the culture is set at the top. And it trickles down into the rest of the organization, and people at work, they fall into those and they become habits, and theoretically there's the way that it flows within an organization is it makes the operations smoother, and from this point to this point the transition is smooth.
Right. And so our culture can be set by the most mature people in the home or by the least mature people in the home. Who's going to set the culture in your house in the morning? Tell the Astro story.
All right. The Houston Astros, like them or love them, we happen to love them, or don't love them if you do. But what they've done is the culture that they've created started from the very top. And the reason I bring this up is because it's such a good example, a public example of what we believe really to be a strength. And they brought in a young man, or they were thinking about bringing in a young man from another team who was very immature, very young man, immature, made a lot of mistakes along the way.
He's gotten into some trouble, and it's public trouble.
Yeah, and so it's well known. And so what the first thing that happened was the leadership of this organization, of the Astros, called in the key players, the leaders of the team, and said, this is what we're thinking about doing. What do you think the impact for good or not will be on our organization? And quite honestly, they said, we don't know. We don't know. And so they brought him in for a conversation, and they said, we want to get to know this guy. And yeah, we know who he is. We know a little bit about what happened. but can we bring him in and he be influenced by the leadership that's above him? And that's what it turned out to be, really a positive
It's
thing.
fun to watch, and if you read up on the Astros, it's happening now. This is current news that they're bringing this young guy in to a culture that is strong and that is
Right.
mature and that is caring for each other and that knows each other. And they're bringing someone in that could disrupt that culture.
Right.
But they're taking all of these steps to make sure that the culture impacts and influences his life and moves him from where he is to where they need him to be for his sake and for the team's sake. And we're suggesting that we can do that in our homes.
Well, it operates, that's just a larger look at what a family
Right.
could be.
And so we're saying that as you're looking at the school year and you're looking at your mornings, instead of just looking at the idea of we need to hurry and everybody needs to take care of themselves, can we look at it a different way? Can we set up a culture in our home, much like a corporate culture or the Astros culture, a team culture, that's for each other and that's mature and that helps the weak become strong, instead of just causes disconnection and chaos in the morning? And our children can go to school with their real needs met and have an opportunity to make it a really great day. And we have a new free resource that will be on our website probably in a day or two. If you want it tonight, before it's on the free resources page of the JanetNewberry.com website, then I'm going to show you one part of it, and I'm going to show you the second part of it next Monday night. But I want to focus on this first page of our new free resource because it's going to help you set this kind of culture for your family at home. And it's this cute page. Thank you, Stacy Todd, for helping us with graphic design. You can't see the words, but you can see the page. And in the circle at the top, it says, "This is us in the morning." Right?
Speaking of the family,
Right.
how the family works with
Who are you as a family? And how do you communicate who you are as a family to your children? And then how do you protect that culture? How do you identify that culture so that you're just like the Astros, the weak become strong instead of the weak setting the culture for the family? And so let me tell you about these 4 boxes on this resource. This is us in the morning. This box says we look like. This box says we don't look like. And so with your family, you're going to put words in these 2 boxes. And it may be important in your house that what it looks like in the morning is we brush our teeth, we make our bed, we make sure the kitchen is clean, all right? Over here it may say no wet towels left on the floor. I don't know, but those are some examples, right? Of what it looks like, and you get to decide in your own home. Maybe making beds, it doesn't matter, and it goes over here. You just want people to go to school with their clothes on, and that's a good thing too. All right, so get dressed goes over here. This is what it really looks like. The bottom boxes are equally important because it says, what does it sound like and what does it not sound like in our home? This would be like if the Astros did this for their locker room. What does it sound like? What kind of words do we say to each other? What kind of words do we not say to each other? Who are we? How do we act like ourselves? This is different than how do we be good? How do we act like who we are as a family? And so this may say, we say good morning to each other, right? The Aggies do a great job of this. Aggies, we have kids that graduated from 5 different colleges. We have a house divided like no other. But if you are familiar with the Aggie campus culture, they've done a great job of establishing a culture. And one of the first things you learn as a freshman is that when you pass another student on the sidewalk on campus, you say howdy, right? Think of that, how that meets a need for belonging. In college students' lives, right? That meets a need for affirmation, for significance, for I'm part of something.
Belonging to something, yeah. And so it takes away, it can happen in your home as well, where the independent thinking
Right.
is removed.
I've just
And,
taken care of myself. Leave me alone.
yeah, I did my part. I'm sorry you didn't get yours done. It's
Right, that's
it's
not
good to be
us.
me right now. But
Right.
no, but and that's where the mom and dad, parents come in, or grandparents, and just say, that's not who we are.
That's not who we
That's not
are.
how we act.
And so, what are you going to say to each other in the morning? You may put some words here that say, how can I help you? Right? Or will you help me? Give your family some words to navigate the morning, and put some words over here that get said in the morning at your house that are not really who you are as a family, that don't match your identity as a family who cares about each other. And just kind of map out with this resource and hang it on your refrigerator. And then when somebody is still in bed past a given time, because might put on here, everybody's up out of bed by 7 o'clock or whatever time your family has to be out of bed, you can just remind your child, this isn't us. This isn't who we are as a family. This isn't how we do mornings. And then there's a culture in your home that lends your kids strength. We often talk about living from our true identity in Christ. Your family has a true identity too. And your family gets to leave a legacy of relationship and connection and lending each other strength. And next week, we're going to talk about the second page of this free resource. That is a place where we're going to put each child's name and kind of fill out, what does each child's morning look like. This isn't a sticker chart. This isn't about behavior modification. This isn't about being good. This second page that will be next week's Facebook Live is about being loved and loving one another.
What is a great opportunity I see here is how this is, especially with school coming up. It's some places it's already started, some places it's about to start. It's just sit down with your family going, in the past, school mornings have been tough around here. And everybody's kind of left to their own, or we struggle a bit with it. We're going to try a new road.
Right.
And here's what we're going to do, because it's fairly simple, and it gives a good pathway.
It's simple, but it's clear. And it gives a vision. It casts a vision. It puts some borders around the culture in your home. And it's interesting when you think about what's going to get said in your home in the morning and what's not going to get said. There's things that happen. I remember when I was at school as an administrator, and somebody wouldn't do what they were supposed to do, and school was the last place I'd yell at them, right? Yeah. But for some reason, we think it's okay at home.
Yeah. And at work, when
I knew who I was at work, I struggled to know who I was at home.
Yeah. And at work too, when you see the leadership, when something's not done, they don't go into somebody else's area and just start screaming at them, say,
right,
go to your room.
And there's a culture in the corporate world that is about helping each other and working together as a team. And when we can build that culture in our homes, not only do school mornings run more smoothly, not only do our children move from the bed to the bus stop, or from the bed to the car more efficiently, but they move well fed.
Their tanks are full for the day.
We're meeting their real needs, and this too. They're getting to be their real self, right? Because when I actually behave in obedience instead of compliance, which is what the normal sticker charts have us do, when I'm just complying to get my sticker so that then I can sit on the couch and play on my phone while everybody around me struggles, right? Then it looks like I'm being good, but my real needs aren't being met. There isn't a culture of caring in our home, and I'm not even being my real self. And
maturity is not going to happen then.
And so in the long run, our children are going to get older, but they're not going to gain in maturity. And so it is this culture of who are we as a family that we are offering as a new perspective for good mornings, and letting those good mornings be possible in your family too. So you want to, let me tell you one more time where you can get this free resource. This is Us in the Mornings free resource, and it comes with both pages. This one we'll talk about next week. Will be probably by Wednesday this week. Will be on the free resources page of the janetnewberry.com website. If you can't wait until then, if you want it now, then you can private message me your email address, or you can just comment on this Facebook Live video, and I will email it to you before it's on the free resources page. But let's close with some takeaways.
All right, takeaway number 1: aim at relationships rather than outcomes.
Yes,
That's different.
it is. Aim at relationship rather than outcome. I know you have to get to the car. I know the kids have to get to the bus before they leave. But here's the truth. Relationships will take care of outcomes. Outcomes will not take care of relationship. And what seems to be most efficient in the long run, is really ineffective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2, set the culture instead of just dealing with it. This is big.
Yes.
This is so big.
Set the culture. You're the most mature person in the family. You, your spouse, the adults get to set the culture in the home. You don't walk on eggshells around the least immature person in the home. Do what the Astros are doing and let the mature people set the culture and come around the weak ones and let the weak become strong.
So that they can help the weak become strong.
Yes, when the weak becomes strong, then they get to help the weak become strong, and that's called a healthy community and a healthy culture.
Number 3.
The last one, make family about belonging instead of about just being good, right? Because we can all, this is where, if you have a struggle with sibling rivalry in your home, it's probably because, whether it's true or not, the story that your children are telling themselves is that the most important thing in my home is that I prove myself good. And the only way I can be sure that I'm doing that is if I'm better than my sibling, right? And so make your family culture about make your family culture about belonging instead of about being good. Make it about connecting and being loved and loving one another. And that culture is going to help your children not only get to the car and to the bus stop on time, but it's going to help them grow up too.
And if it seems that, like, I don't think our family, that's going to work, they've already built the habit of functioning the way they are now. That can change, and it may take some time.
And you
but
can
it's
have
well
a culture
worth,
shift.
Yeah, it's well worth the time.
Yes, it is well worth the time. And to invest in these new ideas now at the beginning of the school year, love is messy, but law gets ugly. Yeah. And everyone loses when it's about law and it's about being good. Then my only other choice is to be a rebel and to be mad at my siblings instead of to help them, instead of to connect with them. So those 3 takeaways, this new free resource, and next Monday night we'll do Facebook Live, oddly enough, from Oklahoma, not a parking lot in Texas.
Yeah, and I bet we don't do it in the truck. I don't know. I'm just going to take a guess about that. But thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you for joining us. And if you want to share this with your friends, watch, and we'll add it to the Janet Newberry YouTube channel, so you can find it there.
Okay.
There is great hope.
Good night. Thank you.